Hi, everybody. Let's talk today about the coronavirus. We're hearing a lot of that on the news today. Everywhere we go, it's probably affecting most people in their working lives or in their everyday lives in some form or fashion. So I thought it would be good if we just take a few minutes and talk about that. The coronavirus, or what they call the Covid19 that you hear a lot of, obviously is spreading quickly. It has affected a lot of businesses. Restaurants and gymnasiums and sporting events, maybe even fitness centers, hospitals, all those places are greatly affected by this particular virus. Now, we do know right now that there's no vaccine at this point to prevent this type of disease. They are working on some, and I think we'll see some down the road. But the best way to prevent this illness is avoid being exposed to it. And one of the ways we do that is through the person-to-person contact. You know, we're talking about staying away from each other for about 6 feet or so that we don't spread the virus. And because most of the time, this virus spreads when someone coughs or someone sneezes, and those moisture driplets that blow out when someone coughs and sneezes either land on your skin or maybe in your nose or maybe even in your mouth. As bad as that sounds, but sometimes when they're floating around in the air and we breathe in, keep in mind there's only 3 ways it's going to enter your body. Either you're going to ingest it, you're going to absorb it, or you're going to inhale it. One of those 3 ways. So the main thing is that we continue to exercise the social distancing so that maybe we can start to calm this thing down, and also hope that warm weather moves in here. And we're hoping that this particular virus will react to warm weather and just kind of go away, so to speak. We'll see about that a little later on. But just keep in mind how these droplets, when someone sneezes or coughs, they float around in the air. They're microscopic. You typically can't see them. So just making sure that we're able to keep ourselves at a distance. But one of the things that we talk a lot about, and even the Department of Public Health, the CDC, which is where I have gathered some of this information that we're talking about today, wash your hands. I don't know how many times we've heard people, especially during our cold and flu season, and I think we treat this very similarly, where we wash our hands when we're touching things or when we're working with different items or whatever it might be, and use soap and water and under running water for at least 20 seconds. Now, a lot of times if we don't know how long 20 seconds really is or how long to wash our hands, I think some of the recommendations has been to hum the Happy Birthday song twice, and that should be enough time, or maybe the old McDonald's song. Sing that and continue to wash your hands. Something to keep in mind, we're really good about washing our palms and the backs of our hands. Make sure you wash your fingertips. Make sure you spend time on your fingertips and in between your fingers when you're washing your hands. And if you're in a situation where you just can't do that, then remember some of the hand sanitizers that we use are really good as well. Just make sure they contain at least 60% alcohol, and you cover the surface really good and you keep rubbing it in until you feel it's dry. Avoid touching your eyes, your nose, your mouth, anything along that line. Just keep in mind your eye is a big sponge, and that big sponge will absorb different viruses and bacteria and things of that nature. So you want to keep your hands and your fingers away from your face, your mouth, your nose, places like that. One of the things that I like to talk about is especially when sometimes when you go into a grocery store and maybe we're walking through the produce aisle and I find some squash that I think would be really good for dinner tonight. And so I take that big roll of plastic bags, you roll one off, tear it off, you can't ever get the thing to open up for you, and you put your squash in there and you tie it up, and it does a really good job of holding your squash together. But the real advantage is it's a layer of protection, because when you get up to the checkout counter and you lay that squash up on that conveyor belt where every leaking pack of chicken has been through there, and I know they do clean these things often, I'm not saying they don't, but I'm saying that bag is a layer of protection in between what could be a hazard and your vegetable there. Same way with this particular item here. When we use a glove or something along that line, and actually for myself, I am all for the masks, the N95s and all that. working for keeping those available for our healthcare people. If you can't use those, let's do like the emergency crews working a vehicle accident. This is a layer of protection. If you can't wash your hands, or maybe you don't have access to the very limited supply of hand sanitizer that's going on right now, this might be a very good option for you to use. You can maybe find some nitrils or maybe some neoprenes or something along that line to help protect you from whatever you touch. Just remember, when you go into one of your favorite department stores and you walk inside that facility and you put your hands on that shopping cart and you're going down the aisle looking for whatever it is you're there for, just remember the last person that had that shopping cart is and now your hands are right on top of it, and all you need to do is, and you have whatever it is. So again, let's practice separation. Let's keep our social distances. Make sure we wash our hands. But at the same time, let's make sure we use any type of protective that we can. Close contact, we talk about it all the time. Avoid close contact as much as you can. Now, we've seen different crowds go from gatherings of 50 down to gatherings of 25, then down to gatherings of 10. We see a lot of people who are self-isolating. They're not leaving their homes, can't go to work, businesses have closed. There's a lot of different things that people are doing, trying to put distance between themselves and those who may have had the virus, or to keep from spreading the virus, so to speak. Stay at home if you're sick. I can't complain about that. That is something that I know it's very difficult to do, but we have to realize it, and then we have to practice it. Make sure that we stay at home. Stay in touch with your doctor. Don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call. Actually, I would do that before I even went down there. If I knew that I needed to go visit my doctor, maybe I had an appointment, I would get the information that I needed before I go down there, because of the way things have changed since the spread of the coronavirus has been going on out there, has forced people to change the way they do that. Avoid public transportation, avoid sharing taxis and things of that nature. Try to stay as isolated as you possibly can. Separate yourselves from others, even if it's in your own home. Maybe a mom or a dad or someone has been tested positive. They might want to stay in another area, or if they feel like they may be coming down with something, they might want to stay in another room, a basement, or maybe isolate a certain restroom that they use that everyone else doesn't use. Any way that you can, keep yourself isolated and prevent the spread of the corona. Again, if you need to go to the doctor, be sure to call ahead. Find out what their procedures are so that you'll know when you get there and you're not surprised by something, and it could speed up the process on both ends. Speed up the process for you as well, getting in to see your doctor, but speeding up the process for them inside the doctor's office so that everything works in a streamline. I think that is critically important. Wear a face mask if you're sick, or if you're working with people who are sick. Again, I think we need to save our face mask as much as possible for our healthcare workers who are actually dealing with people who have this virus. And I think the other means of our protection sometimes, again, is protecting our hands, making sure we wash our hands and protecting ourselves. But if you're sick, yeah, you don't want to be coughing on other people or coughing in an area. If that mask will help you, then I would say at that point, yeah. Cover your coughs and sneeze regardless, even if you think that you're sick. And I know really a lot of times this coronavirus hit at a really bad time, because there are so many parts of the country right now, especially down in the South, where we're right in the middle of allergy season. We have pollen flying around everywhere, and people are coughing and sneezing, and so it just kind of makes you a little uncomfortable when you have all that going on, plus this coronavirus and all. So make sure you cover yourself. Use a tissue. Once you finish coughing or sneezing, discard that tissue and immediately go wash your hands again for at least 20 seconds, or use that hand sanitizer that has at least 60% alcohol in it. Clean your hands as often as you can. Wash your hands, use hand sanitizer, use soap and water, and avoid touching your eyes, your nose, your mouth, or anything along that line. Follow 5 steps to wash your hands the right way. Wet your hands with clean running water, warm or cold, doesn't matter. Turn off the tap, apply the soap. Lather your hands by rubbing them together with the soap. Lather the back of your hands in between your fingers and under your fingernails, and don't forget your fingertips. That's where you really are touching a lot of things. Scrub your hands for at least 20 seconds. Need a timer? Again, home happy birthday. hum it twice, and that'll take you through that 20-second time. Rinse your hands under clean running water. Also dry your hands using a clean towel or air dry them however you prefer. I think all of that is a huge help in preventing from spreading this virus, whether it's for yourself or maybe the things that you're touching. So I think we've pretty much stopped shaking hands and even fist bumps, because now we've got that 6 feet of separation. It's just kind of an air high five or whatever it might be. Don't share dishes. Obviously, you don't want to share drinking glasses, cups, or anything, towels, anything along that line that could continue to spread this virus. Clean all high-touch surfaces every day. You know, if it's something, your doorknobs, your phones, anything that you or maybe other people touch often, make sure you clean that several times a day, just to make sure that you're taking care of that virus. There are ways of killing that virus and disinfecting that virus with some different Cloroxes and things of that nature. There are a lot of different virus killers out there that you could research to make sure you have the one that works for you. Monitor your symptoms. If you're starting to come down with a fever and you're getting that cough and sneezing and your fever seems to be going up, monitor that. And if you have a face mask, that might be a good time to wear it, because, you know, there are people who have this. It appears they have it for several days sometimes before their symptoms show up. So those are things that we really have to monitor really closely. And so I just think that's good advice. People with COVID-19 who stay at home, they're home isolated, they can stop home isolation when the following conditions happen. Say if you have tested and you determine that you're negative, or maybe your symptoms have gone away and you've had no fever for at least 72 hours, maybe other symptoms have improved, and at least 7 days have passed since your symptoms first appeared. I think those are good things to monitor, but until you have all of those triggers there that shows you have had some improvement, then good stay at home or self-isolation, I think is a really good idea. And all of us pulling together to help prevent this COVID virus or this COVID-19 that we just continue to talk about, the coronavirus. It looks like it's going to be with us for some time. But again, when you're in the healthcare areas, you want to make sure that we keep them supplied with respirators, the N95s and stuff like that. But I still think another alternative for people who are out there in everyday life, this may be a really good alternative other than isolation and staying away from areas where a lot of people congregate. So many rules now across the country about not congregating, and I think that should help us as we move forward. But until then, we're just going to have to use really good common sense and make sure we keep our hands washed and we keep them away from our face, nose, mouth, things of that nature. So hope this has helped some. I know there's a lot of things going on and you hear a lot of different information out there. Again, this information came from the CDC, and so I'm hoping that we can take it, use it, and get past this and get back to our normal business as quick as possible. Use this in your safety library. Just keep in mind your safety library has an awful lot of information that you can use that can help you with your health related. Remember, we talk about safety and health. Safety is one thing, health is something else. Right now we're dealing with some health related type issues. I thank you. I hope you're having a good day, and I'll say be safe and talk to you soon.